comedy in a way has been destroyed in the last 10 years. Like this whole movement of sensitivity is ridiculous. Like people should have be able to laugh. So I'm hoping that comedy comes back because man, I think since 2015 there hasn't been that much, especially in the theater. I mean, there's been barely anything.
Welcome to episode number 22. I am joined today by Adam William Ward. Adam is an actor, writer, director, and producer. He is most known for his feature Wally Got Wasted and his recent miniseries Bad Advice. Welcome to the show, Adam. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being on.
I appreciate you being here. So just jumping into things, what got you into comedy and why do you love comedy so much?
Um, it's so funny. I always think I loved hearing my parents laugh when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I think that was always like a cue, like, oh, this is cool. And if I can make them laugh, I think that kind of early days would push me in that direction. And then I did theater when I was in high school and stuff. So making like 300 people laugh is just very rewarding and it feels really good. So, and it always seemed easier for me to make people laugh than most people. So I gravitated towards that direction because it was easier. I mean, that's probably the bottom line.
Right on.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and when it comes to comedy movies, like if you're funny, it doesn't have to be as expensive, basically, is what I
Yeah,
thought.
definitely.
And so that's what gravitated me towards comedy movies and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, right on. Yeah.
And my brother, he started out down here. He worked for Todd Phillips, and then he also worked for Ben Stiller in the 2000 era, when that was like the mecca of places to be, both of them, with
Yeah.
Old School and Road Trip with Todd Phillips, and
hmm
then Ben Stiller with Dodgeball and like all this other stuff that he was doing. So it was like very much comedy around. So you wanted, I mean, that's the big comedies were like the biggest thing back then. It just, that's what people would talk about. And growing up too, like Austin Powers was humongous. American Pie was humongous. It
Yeah.
was like that's what people wanted to talk about, and there's really no negative in making people laugh usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
You add joy to people's lives, so it's very rewarding to see people laugh, and it's very rewarding to make people's lives better in that way. So.
Yeah, definitely. No, I couldn't agree more. And that's so cool that you mentioned the 2000s era of comedies because I mean this channel isn't just a podcast channel. I mean I do a weekly video every week and the bulk of the subject matter is the 2000s era comedies. I mean those are my favorite. That's definitely the community I'm building the subject matter around. So I mean yeah, that's right up my alley for sure. And you worked for Todd Phillips yourself, correct?
Yes, I did work for Todd Phillips. My brother got me a job over there, and I was basically like the front desk guy. But it's a very small office. I mean, there was like me, like four of us in there. It wasn't very
Uh-huh.
big at all.
Yeah.
And if you walked into the office, now mindful, the office is at Warner Brothers, so it's not like you're walking into the office off the street.
Mhm.
But if you walked into that office, I'd be the first person you talk to. I'd be the one
Mhm.
checking you in. Um, and so even the movie stars that came in, I would be the one talking to them for like a little bit. They wouldn't wait very long.
Yeah.
Compared to like film directors that are coming up or writers that are coming up, they would
Mhm.
wait a little longer sometimes. But there was stories like Angelina Jolie was like right in front of me in the hallway, and
Mhm.
like she's going upstairs for a meeting. She actually wasn't meeting us, and I just saw her and I was like, oh, that girl's kind of pretty, and
Yeah.
she's pregnant, and I don't know who she is. And then I was like, but she's standing out there for a while, so I like walked out into the hallway, and there's Angelina Jolie. And once you get up close, you're like, oh, I know who you are, but I didn't say that, but I thought that.
Mhm.
I was like, hey, are you okay? Like, are you going somewhere? Are you lost? And she was like, I'm fine. I just needed a second. I'm going up to a meeting upstairs. And I was like, okay, cool. And like went back into the office and was like, hey, I typed on the computer, Angelina Jolie is standing in the hallway. Just let everybody know. So of course, the boss is up. Scott Budnick was the boss in the office all the time. He was like,
Uh,
okay, let me take a stroll into the hallway. And
yeah.
I'm sure if Todd was there, he would have went out in the hallway too. But Todd was like barely ever there.
Mhm.
He like I think I saw him once in like the amount of time I worked there. Like he never came into the office.
Right.
And when I worked there, Hangover was the big script that was passed around the office a lot. There was another script called Manwich that I don't think they ever made, but Hangover, I was like full blown, like all about Hangover. Like I
Yeah.
kept saying, well, what about Hangover? Because everybody kept talking about the script Manwich. Um, and I was like, and with Manwich, Jack Black was supposed to be in it. It's like, maybe I shouldn't talk about it. I don't even know if I signed an NDA, but
Okay, fair
that
enough.
whole movie was like, everybody was excited about that movie. And I read the script for Hangover and I was like, dude, we have to do Hangover. Like Hangover is this thing. And obviously Todd was thinking the same thing. I mean, so, and I even gave notes on Hangover and said like to cut a scene. And they ended up cutting the scene I actually had notes to cut, but then they added it into Hangover 2, which is
Oh,
funny.
that's funny.
So because Hangover 1, they actually went to a gay strip club in Hangover 1.
Yeah.
And that was in the script, and they ended up cutting it out and putting it in Hangover 2 in Thailand. So yeah,
I thought that scene was really fun.
yeah. It was hilarious at the time, but you just got to realize we're talking 2007, 2008. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? The movie came out, I think, 2009. It was a lot. A bunch of guys going into a gay strip club was pretty heavy duty back then for a comedy and extreme. And so you got to realize on the page is a different tone too than in the movie. So
Right.
this is kind of heavy. I don't know if you want to do this.
Yeah.
Not that anybody was really listening to me anyway.
Yeah.
But it was just my 2 cents at the time. So
Yeah. No, that's such fun. I remember when that movie came out, I was like 10 or 11 and I was like pissed because I couldn't watch it. My parents wouldn't let me. And I remember it was like the talk of the town. And I remember like my brothers would watch it in the other room and I wasn't allowed to get near and all that. And I remember it was just this huge cultural phenomenon. And I was just so upset.
how you're introduced to a movie, I think, and movies in general, I think affect how much you love them, how much you like them. What's your favorite movie? My favorite movie is Predator, believe it or not, because of how
Uh,
I was introduced to it too. I wasn't allowed to watch it, same thing.
yeah.
And then I was only allowed to watch the end with the monster. So, first I was sitting in the other room just listening to it roar, and then eventually I went and saw it and was so captivated. And I don't remember how old I was, 5 or something when that movie came out. But
Yeah.
yeah, so Predator was definitely that for me. And so, yeah, how you're introduced to film is very much how much reflecting how much you love it. And, that's why I think it's sad with the new generation of like so many kids getting lost on TikTok and these platforms because they're not storytelling, most of them. There's no moral and there's no value in a way to where you're not getting a whole lot of storytelling has value, I think.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
a storyteller, so I have put a lot of value on it, but
Yeah.
it can change the hearts and minds of people, and I think that has power, and I think we're getting lost. A lot of our audience is getting lost, and that's a shame.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful at least that it'll
Yeah.
rebound. I don't know what your thoughts are at all on that.
Um, I think it will rebound. I think with everything, something's really cool with a new generation, and the
Mm.
generation after that generally goes, "That's not cool," because they don't want to be like the generation before them. So hopefully, I have faith that it will. I definitely meet people sometimes, especially in the younger generation, that is like, "No, I don't have a social media platform. Like I'm
Mhm.
not on."
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic. I wish I could get off it, but sadly, it connects me to so many other filmmakers and so many other things. I can't seem to get off it for business reasons. But there
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be a whole lot of value otherwise, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I personally was off social media for about 6 years and then I created it again when I started making movies, like just for the production company. And yeah, that's what got me
Yeah.
back in.
Yeah, I mean, it's advertising in a way. It connects people to you. There's value there. I just think our society, our world wasn't quite ready for it. It just, especially the youth. I kind of feel like the youth shouldn't be on it. They just shouldn't be on it. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
be
it
an
is pretty
adult thing in a
toxic.
way, you know. I think when you look at everything about that, I had some faith with but faith that they were gonna, cut it out of the youth, but it hasn't happened. But I know that whenever I have kids, they won't be on social media. I
Yeah.
mean, until they're adult, that's for sure. If it's still around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, definitely. It's pretty toxic, especially in like the middle school, high school era.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I'm thrilled that it wasn't around when I was in high school. So
Yeah, it was like peaking when I was there.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a totally different world in that way. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
definitely.
make a film about
Yeah, yeah. I am curious, just before we move on to the next one, did you meet Scott Armstrong at all? I feel like him and Todd Phillips together, they're like my favorite comedy duo.
it. Scott Armstrong, I don't think so. Todd Phillips, and who was in the office? No, I did not meet him. He's his writing partner, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
No, Todd barely came in the office, so Armstrong did never. I never met.
Okay.
And if I did, no one ever introduced me to him, so I would have had no idea who he was because I
Fair
didn't know what
enough.
he looked like. But no, Todd only came in once and was like, "Hey, what's up, man? What are you doing here?" Like he didn't even know who I was. You know what I mean? It's his office.
Yeah.
Hilarious. But like, he's a from everything that I gather, he's a wild child. Like he's a he beats by his own drum. He's always been that way.
Yeah.
So
No, I've listened to a few hours of interviews of him, just like any interview out there on the internet that I could get my hands on. And yeah, no, he seems like really cool, doesn't give a fuck guy very much. I mean, you can tell with his movies too. I mean, the kind of shit he puts in there, you can tell that he does not care what anyone's gonna say.
no, he doesn't care. But
Yeah.
comedy in a way has been destroyed in the last 10 years. Like this whole movement of sensitivity is ridiculous. Like people should have be able to laugh. So I'm hoping that comedy comes back because man, I think since 2015 there hasn't been that much, especially in the theater. I mean, there's been barely anything. So
Yeah, no, totally. You know what? Like that was actually one of the later questions, but I think this is a good segue into, and then we can get to the other ones. But yeah, I mean, I think that that's a great point. I mean, that's something that I'm preaching heavily on this channel as well. I think like the only two comedies that I really liked in the past decade, I liked Blockers a lot with John Cena, Leslie Mann, and Ike Barinholtz. I don't know if you saw that one.
good. Yeah.
I liked that one, and I liked Good Boys. But other than that, I like everything kind of sucked. And it's funny because I watch like comedies from the 2000s that I mean, I obviously didn't watch them when they came out, but then I like watch them now, and it's like even the bad ones, like I'll still laugh 5 to 10 times. Like they're funny, but like the ones nowadays, just nothing's funny. It's terrible. It's pathetic. I mean, to me, it's very much the political correctness, but I think it's also just like the funny people aren't getting chosen to write or act in these, and I feel like people are also. I mean, I know this is a little more controversial, but I feel like they're a little more focused on meeting quotas and checking boxes instead of actually getting the best talent together.
Oh, I've experienced that my whole career here, sadly. I think with everything going on, I've run into people wanting to recast our show for minorities. Literally Bad Advice, the TV series I just made.
Yeah,
An executive at Warner Brothers, like we love the show, but we'd like to replace it with minorities. It's like, what? Like not only that, did you watch the show? Because we're politically incorrect, like the whole show.
yeah,
It only works because we're all a bunch of idiots that
yeah.
are doing things that are insensitive to every race, to every religion, to everything. And the only way that works is if we are white men.
Right, right, yeah.
I don't understand. I never understood that when she said it, but it is what it is. We're living in the time we're living in, and hopefully, laughter becomes a priority at some point. Like funny, it's funny. It doesn't matter who it's who's saying it or whatever, and hopefully the sensitivity goes away so that comedy can come back in a strong way.
Yeah, definitely. No, and I so happy watching Wally Got Wasted and Bad Advice, just seeing you take those risks because like most people, almost no one would put that kind of stuff in their movie or TV show because they're so afraid of being ostracized. And I think it's definitely important to take those risks and to just I don't think comedy should have bounds. And so like seeing that content and like just being funny and letting loose like that is definitely a huge breath of fresh air. And like in my opinion, I think that like people want to see that. Like people will still watch The Hangover and Superbad and American Pie or whatever, and they love it. It's not like all of a sudden everyone hates these. So why couldn't you make that nowadays?
Oh, 100%. Wally Got Wasted, just in case somebody doesn't know, it's a very kickback to the 80s movies like Wally Got Wasted, kickback to Weekend at Bernie's and Hangover. That's kind of like a splice between the two.
Yeah.
And it's about three guys that accidentally kill somebody and then they're trying to get rid of the body all in one night in LA. And so we took risks with that for sure. And then Bad Advice, my TV series, is about four guys dating in LA. And well, it's three guys dating in LA and their crazy landlord that comes in and out. And I break I mean, every rule in the book. I mean, people, Bad Advice is very much for you to laugh. And there was people in the industries like, you shouldn't release this.
Yeah.
Like straight up told me, you shouldn't release this. This will be bad for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's funny. Like I don't care, And I had Gersh shopping it around, the president of Gersh shopping it around, and I think every platform sadly wouldn't touch it because of it's too racy or it's funny, you know what I'm saying? And I don't follow any norms. Like it's for
Right.
people, it's for middle America, it's for everyone to laugh. And if you're too sensitive or too worried about people getting offended, I don't know how to make them laugh. You know what I mean? Because laughter kind of is shocking people in a way.
Right.
So I just did whatever I thought was the funniest thing to do.
Yeah. No, I commend you
So,
for that.
you
It
know,
makes it pop out for sure.
yeah, the people that watched it, most people seem to love it, hopefully.
Yeah.
Um, but most people that I've talked to definitely have told me they loved it and rewatch it. So many people rewatch it that talk to me about it. It's pretty wild. They'll be like, I've watched it like 3 times. And then one person told me with Bad Advice, they were like, I just supposed to watch the first episode, bro, and I hate you because I stayed up till 5 in the morning. I finished the whole season. And I'm like, yes, like that makes me feel so good. I love that kind of stuff, you know. Um, and the show is very much like there's just so much things in it that you might not get away with right now, with big
Yeah.
stream, big studio movies and stuff. I don't think they do it, you know. So, did you watch all the episodes?
I've watched the first 4 so far.
First four. And what's your favorite moment within the first 4 episodes?
I think, let's see. The spoilers are fine, right?
I don't care. I mean, I want people to watch the show. So,
Yeah, I liked. So I really liked the. Unfortunately, I don't know the characters' names. I'm sorry. That's true for like every TV show and movie I watch.
I
But
do. Don't
when
worry.
he's trying to prove he's not racist, and so he gives him the beans, and then when he pulls the fried chicken out, that was a really good gag.
So, what he's talking about for anyone watching this, Brad, the character Brad, I just thought it was really funny to have an idea of somebody who thinks you're racist, but then because you're socially inept in the way that you don't know the things you are doing are you're doing a stereotype. So I thought it would be really funny if somebody was accused of being racist, and so he's being racist, trying to prove he's not a racist. So, because he's not actually a racist on purpose, he's just an idiot. So, a black man is the gardener, and he's trying to prove that he's not a racist to that person. So he asks him to rap, and then later and he assumes that this person can rap because he's black. He cooks him fried chicken and assumes that he would like fried chicken. He even slices watermelon and gives him watermelon.
That was really good too. Okay, yeah. I think that actually I might like that more than the fried chicken.
It's
I was expecting purple Kool-Aid.
very-
I was thinking I was like he's gonna pull out some purple Kool-Aid in this watermelon.
it was just ridiculousness in
Yeah.
the sense of like because I've seen people around Hollywood that literally think that they're woke or whatever, and so they do all this extra around a minority race, and it's like you don't have to do anything extra, just treat them
Yeah.
normal. But they
Yeah.
do this, and so I was making fun of those people, and it's funny because majority of the black audience that has watched it, I had during the premiere, I've had a 76-year-old black person come up to me and go, "That was the funniest thing I've ever seen."
Yeah.
That makes me feel so good because they get it even more than any white people would get it. Just
Right, yeah.
skin, dealing with idiots like that all the time.
That's the irony. I feel like a lot of the time, at least in my experience, it seems like the people that are getting the most offended by this kind of stuff are white people,
100%.
white straight people.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. They're not listening to the minorities. Let the minorities tell you what they're offended by and what we should change, and then listen to them. So,
Totally, yeah. No, like it's like in the movie that I made that's in post production right now. I had someone, a crew member, give me notes who was not even involved. I didn't ask for any notes at all, like from her. Getting notes is great, but like I was like offering her a job, and like she came back and said like this character's too homophobic. You can't have this line, that line, whatever. And I was okay. That's not your job. But the funny thing is that my co-producer and editor is gay, and like he had no issues with it at all. And like I have this like straight person like telling me like you got to take all this out. And it's like what?
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like characters can't be.
Yeah,
Characters are characters. There's racist characters.
right.
There's homophobic characters. Like these, we're just not going to show that in art. Like it doesn't make any sense at all. You know what I mean? Like imagine if he couldn't do that in Django. If Quentin Tarantino
Right.
show racist people in Django Unchained, he would have no one to kill. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just ridiculous, some of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. No, it definitely strips us away from honesty. I actually made a video about this exact topic. But yeah, another scene that really liked. I think it was the same exact episode. It's less racy. I just thought it was just overall just funny. Was when the character masturbated so many times that like he just had no cum left, and he puts the like masturbator device on the woman.
Yes, yes. One of the characters doesn't believe in jacking off. He doesn't know about jacking off. And so all the guys around him basically are like, dude, like you're so built up, you're never going to get a girl. Like, because you'll have no game. Like, you just, you know. So everyone tells him to basically jack off. And then even a woman at one point tells him, like, you need to go empty your sack. And then he finally listens, but because he has no knowledge about this thing, he just keeps going until he basically has nothing left. And he just so happens to have a sex toy that he has, and he uses that to get the woman off. So anyway, that's for if people are wondering what the heck he's talking about.
Yeah,
That's episode 2.
yeah,
But
that was really
if these situations sound funny to you, then please watch Bad Advice. It has a lot of that kind of stuff, you know.
yeah.
A lot of racy stuff. I mean, like episode 4,
That yeah,
my character
I
literally,
love
the
that.
episode starts with me hearing two characters having sex on the other side of the wall. And then the rest of the episode, my character is trying to become the lunch meat to that sandwich. There's two women
Yeah,
basically like diking it out. And so he's trying to become, you know, the lunch meat in that sandwich of the two lesbian women. And then I'm not going to give away the spoiler for that one. But
okay, good, because that actually I was going to say if you didn't mind a third, that was going to be the spoiler is that was my third moment that I really
yeah,
enjoyed.
no, I won't give away that one.
Okay, I won't. Yeah, that actually probably was my favorite episode of the 4
Oh,
so
thank you.
far. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. The show basically has 4 storylines for 4 different characters, and they all intertwine. And at the end, it pretty much always ends bad for everybody. Um, and it's always like a comeback around, and it's very much inspired by um, Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm. You know, it has some
yeah,
of that Curb in there where it's that awkward, funny, but then very much in structure, it was Seinfeld. I wanted to come back around and bite you in the ass and be clever, and that was the hardest part in the writing of it was making sure these storylines were funny, but then making sure I had a way to creatively have them come back around. Because if I can't have them come back around, it just kind of falls flat. And I felt like those were the hardest parts of writing it and stuff. So,
Oh, I mean that was very very clever and ending to that episode.
oh,
I'll just say
thank you.
that you
Thank you.
definitely wrapped it up well.
Yeah, like I said, I would spend sometimes a whole day when writing just on the endings, just on figuring out
Mhm.
the come arounds. You know, that
Yeah,
would be a lot of the time really trying to come up with those things. Because when I was writing it, I'd write, I have so many storylines for that show, and we almost did a second season. I don't know that we will unless the audience builds more for Bad Advice.
Mhm.
But when I was writing Bad Advice, and if anybody wants to see it, it's free on Tubi,
Mhm.
it's on Amazon Prime. Check it out, please. The whole season's on there for free. And if you don't know what Tubi is, it's a free app on your TV, your laptop, all
Mhm.
that stuff. Check it out. Bad Advice.
Yeah, and
And
I'll plug the links in the show notes in the pinned comment as
there you
well.
go, and you can look at his links. But anyway, when I was writing the show, I had like 12 years of notes. So I have 12 years of writing down funny storylines because I had done a show in 10 years earlier that literally I wanted to make that into 100 episodes, you
Mhm.
know. So I thought every time I came up with a new storyline for those characters, I was writing them down. And so I had like 10 years of notes. So when I was writing these episodes, I couldn't fit them all on a chalkboard. I'd write out all the episodes, every idea for storyline, and then I'd try to which ones can I tie together? You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And end in a funny way. And that's how I would literally make the storylines. Like that storyline, oh, I could make this be that, and stuff like that. So anyway,
Yeah,
and if
definitely.
anyone watches it, you let me know what you think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I hope everyone is enjoying this podcast. I just wanted to jump in real quick and say if you love comedy movies and miss the R rated comedy movies of the 2000s, I currently have a comedy movie in post production that I wrote, directed, and produced titled Hometown Summer. The movie is very much in vein of the 2000 style R rated comedies and follows the story of three childhood best friends whose plan to attend the same college is thrown for a whirl in a summer filled with drugs, sex, and bad business decisions. The movie is set for release in 2025, and you can follow the movie's progress on Instagram by following at Wolverines Productions, by signing up for our email list at hometownsummer.com, or by subscribing to this YouTube channel. All of these relevant links will be posted in the description along with the pinned comment. I hope you enjoy the rest of this podcast episode. So, jumping into Wally Got Wasted, and I really enjoyed the behind the scenes documentary. It looked, a lot of shit goes on behind the scenes on any indie film set. I mean, there are definitely some scary moments. I definitely, like, personally, because like I've made a movie, I made a couple, but just that moment where the tire gets flat and you're calling the crew in to like fix the flat tire and you're like not really supposed to be there, like you could get shut down. Like I definitely like felt my heart racing thinking of that. Like that kind of shit's so scary. Like you don't want to get the police on your set.
It's so funny. That particular day, Seth, my partner for the movie, so I made the movie with Seth Himes. He wrote he wrote it with me, but he mainly did the writing. I came in and did rewrites and told him this scene should end there and all that kind of stuff. And then I directed it and he produced. And I produced as well, but but at a certain point, I think about week two or around there, and I said to Seth, like, you really need to, and he started really doing it, really started producing well and protecting me from not every single problem. Because in the
Mhm.
beginning, he was coming to me with every single problem. And I was literally like, do you want me to handle it or do you want to handle it? Because if you're telling me about it, I'm going to try to handle it. So I'm directing. So either I'm doing this or I'm doing that. So,
Mhm.
and eventually he learned like I got to protect Adam from his mind wandering into other things.
Mhm.
So that particular flat tire, I knew about it, but he was the one dealing with it, and I'm sure
Mhm.
he was like, oh God, he hated it. I'm sure, but it worked out okay, and it was loud as heck. But we actually had a permit that day. We did have
Oh,
permission
okay.
that particular day,
Yeah.
and yeah, and behind the scenes maybe to be more dramatic. But still, I mean, if people had complaints, I don't know if they could have shut us down. It was super loud to fix that problem.
Yeah.
Um, but there was plenty of places that we did guerrilla and we didn't have permission. And the only place that I almost got shut down and I didn't have permission was right in front of my own apartment, believe it or not, which is kind of insane. And the scene in the movie, there's a kind of an iconic scene in the movie where the first time they leave the house with the dead body, they're walking with
Right.
Wally, the
Yeah.
dead body, and they've tied the legs to their feet, just like Weekend
Yeah.
at Bernie's, and we actually had a kickback in the script where we were really, literally, I was going to say, I got an idea. It's from a movie, but I think it's going to work. But we actually cut that out. I don't think we kept that in the movie. But anyway, that exact scene, Patrick, who's the character of Mitch, looks left as we're carrying the body.
Mhm.
That's because there's a woman screaming at us saying we're going to shut you down. Like that's what he's looking at when he looks left. It's a slow motion shot. We
Yeah.
only had to do it one time because we got shut down. And
Uh-huh.
he's looking at the woman screaming at us. So if you watch that scene again, that's what's going on there.
That's funny. Oh, that's great.
And I
That
fully knew it's so funny because we got shut down. My crew, my actors, they were like so like pissed off at her, and I literally was like, nobody talked to her, like nobody, because she was literally like, I'm gonna call the cops, and she was like, I was like, what do you need? Like, how are we bothering you? Da, 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 da,
Mm.
da. She's like, I need to see your permit. And I was like, oh, I have somebody going to get it now. I didn't have a permit. I have somebody going to get it now. Is there anything we're bothering you with right now, though? Like, is there anything I can do? And she was like, I just need to see your permit. And I was like, okay, but we're not bothering you. And she was like, if I don't see your permit right now, I'm going to call the cops. And so I just knew at that point I had to shut it down. And
Yeah.
and this is the thing. I knew we were coming back there the next day or the day after
Mm.
and shooting a scene with people dressed in cops outfits with fake guns and literally fake shooting somebody. So I knew that I didn't want to make a
Yeah.
stink and have to
Right.
show up. So I told everybody to like get out of here, don't talk to her. And James Babson, who's playing Wally, he goes to where he goes, way to destroy art as we're like going away. And I thought it was so funny. We're
Yeah.
making like a comedy movie, it's just
Right.
really funny. And it is art, but I just don't think of it that way. So
Right. Yeah. No,
it's really
that's good.
funny.
Yeah.
And we still came back. I don't know if she called the cops, but we came back and did our thing. Luckily, during the day, no cop came, so they couldn't see the police uniforms. But by the time we were actually leaving that night, the cop just sat at the end of the street, and we actually, and I would not suggest anybody to do this, and they shouldn't do this, but we loaded up the car with all the lights pointing inward on the car and put the camera on the hood, which is an Ari Alexa, like this big ass camera, and then like literally drove out on the streets to film the car scenes. And the cop was down the block, literally like three houses down. But because there's no street lights in front of me, I'd be like, turn off all the lights on the car. We drive the car with the camera on it and all the lights on it down the street. We'd pull into a little parking lot. I'd turn all the lights on and push record on the camera, and then we'd go film like around the neighborhood and around this area. And then when we were done, I'd turn them all off, the camera off, and drive back in. And because there's no light in front of my apartment building, he didn't see that the camera and the lights were on.
Right.
So crazy, crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
No, definitely.
But it worked out. It worked out. And we didn't get shut down that day, so it definitely worked out.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, that's great to hear.
But Wally Got Wasted has so many like big scenes in it, and so it was a lot of me going into places and talking to people and trying to work out, can we come in here? Can we film here? And
Yeah. I noticed that in the grocery store. That really stuck out, like from the behind the scenes, like that there were like people, like it looked like there were people shopping there at the time when you were
there
in there.
was. They didn't
Yeah.
shut down. Yeah, we were filming while they were shopping people. And the crazy part about that is so we go out to get a grocery store. A grocery store is not easy to get when you're filming. It's really, really hard.
Mhm.
Somehow magically Seth, my partner, knows someone from high school that knows someone else that owns a grocery store, right?
Mhm.
We have a grocery store. It somehow came to fruition, and it was just there. We were thrilled. We have permission. We show up with the grip truck and the crew of 20 people. We're making a movie. We're doing this. We go into the store and we're very confident that this is the right store, grocery store, da 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 da. We talk to employees, da 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 da. We have permission. We tell them we went to the wrong grocery store and we filmed the whole thing in the wrong grocery store.
That's
We never
crazy.
had permission to be there. But the crazy part is because I was so confident,
Yeah.
they thought it was so cool, they let us stay. And I don't think it ever got to the owner because that's the thing about filming in a certain place. The owner's not available on phone. So you're saying that you talk to the owner and everybody below him is the one working at the store.
Yeah.
So that happened a lot with certain things. And yeah, it's just insane how some
That's so crazy.
it's the same thing with the train shot. We did not have permission to
Yeah.
do any of the train stuff. And the head of security actually showed up and shut us down. And I had to talk, gosh, it took 20 some minutes to convince him to let us stay.
Uh-huh.
And gosh, it was dramatic, but it took a while. It took a while for the head of security to come. So my whole crew is union. They all went from Teen Wolf, the TV show,
Mhm.
over to my film. So they don't want to mess with cops. They don't want to mess with any of this drama.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, security is like looking at us, right? And so I would walk up to security and talk to them and just like, hey, like normal conversation, like
Yeah.
nice to meet you. Yeah, cool. We're doing this thing over here. Have a good day, and act like I was supposed to be there,
Hmm.
and go back to the film, and be like, oh, we're good. So they think we have permission when in fact we don't have permission, and the security assumes because we were so big that we definitely should be there. Like, unfortunately, I did everything opposite you probably should do. I showed up with a humongous camera. I showed up with a with a with a 5-ton grip truck with a crew of 30 people with lights with everything, and I don't have permission to be there. But because of just brassness, we would stay and film at a lot of places because they just didn't think somebody would show up
Right.
and not have permission. And I
Totally.
wouldn't
Yeah.
suggest it to anybody. You shouldn't do it, but I did it. So,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I got away with it. So,
Yeah. No, you're fortunate. Yeah. No, that's it's great that it all worked out in the end for sure.
yeah, pretty wild some of that stuff. We
Uh,
even we even went to a casino and we filmed the train scene when we're running up to the train.
yeah.
That's a casino parking lot. So, and actually, you can't even get on the train there when we run up to the train. That doesn't have an entrance onto the train right there.
Uh-huh.
I had to go a different location to get on the train and all that kind of stuff. So it's the second time, not the first time. The first time we went up, that was the real train station. The second time
Mm.
was when we ran up on the train to try to find Wally on the train at the next train station. That is not a real train station. That's the
Uh-huh.
back of a casino parking lot. And so we're filming in this casino parking lot. I've scouted it. I went there. Nobody's around. I'm like, ah, fuck it. We'll just come here and
Yeah.
film. The casino's kind of far away, but it is the parking lot.
Hmm.
So we start filming again, 5-ton grip truck, crew of 30 people, big camera, whole 9 yards lights, and the security guards all show up. I didn't even realize that parking lot was a casino parking lot until security shows up. Two security guards show up, not even one, with a car and everything. And they're like, "Hey, what are you doing out here?" Like, "Oh, we're filming a movie." And it was like, "Do you guys have a permit?" And my one guy totally lies. He goes, "Yeah, we got a permit." And they laugh and they go, "We don't, because we don't really even care if you do." And they were like, "You guys have a good time. We'll keep an eye on you." And they left.
That's awesome.
Like literally, we could have got shut down that day.
Yeah.
Like it's just insane how many moments we have in the film and how much luck. I felt like literally I ran out of Lucky Charms on the film.
Yeah.
I used up every 4-leaf clover I
Yeah.
had on the movie, and when we were done, I was spent. I was like, I need to start
Oh my
collecting.
God.
It was pretty wild indeed.
No,
Yeah, I'm
that
gonna
is
think
fucking
about stories
crazy.
like that of getting shut down. I can try to think of more. Do you like stories like that? Should I keep elaborating?
Yeah.
Let me think if there's any other moments we got shut down. There was a moment in reshoots. There was a moment. So we got to film in a nightclub, and I put the scene together. A lot of people asked me about the nightclub. How did I pull off the
Mm.
nightclub? How did I pull off the nightclub?
Yeah. Yeah. That was a big
There's
scene.
like 300 extras. So, how I pulled that off is I filmed while they were closed with permission, of course, and
Uh,
I filmed while they were open with permission. So basically, you just put up a sign any place you go, and you basically say like, "We're filming. If you come in, your likeness is going to be used." There's a whole terminology to use for all that.
yeah.
But then you have extras for free. So
Yeah.
so if you can really plan your shots, which is what I did, because while the extras are there, you're not going to get any audio. You
Hmm.
know, you're just not. It's going to be shit.
Hmm.
So you got to film all the talking scenes while they're closed, and while they're open, you got to film any wide shots, any shots with extras. Use it as much as possible. If I ever teach to film course, this would be in it.
Yeah.
And then so that is how that worked. But then when we came back to that location, believe it or not, I kind of walked in. I didn't, because we had permission before. I didn't get permission the second time, and so we just started filming. I just started filming while they were
Yeah.
closed, and there was like workers there, but I didn't talk to the owner again. I called him, but he didn't pick up. So I just said, "Well, fudge it. We'll just go and just film." And we started filming, and there's a guy. Next thing I know, I'm filming an actor, and there's a guy behind him in the shot, and his name's Roman. And Roman's in the shot, and they're like, I was like, "Excuse me, can you move for a sec?" He's like, "No," and I was like, "He works. I work here, or I own this." I don't remember exactly what he said, and I was like, "Oh, do you want to be in the shot? You can be in the shot if you want." And he was like, no, I own the place and you're not allowed to be here. And I was like, oh. Um, and my cameraman is literally like, oh, we're done. We're done. And he sits down with Ronald Quigley, one of my lead actors in it.
Yeah.
And Ron tells him, he tells Ron, I guess we're shut down. Like, we're done. And Ron's like, don't worry. Give it about 10 minutes and we'll be shooting again. And so I talked to the owner. And of course, I have to convince him to let us film there. And
Yeah.
yeah, about 10, 20 minutes, we were filming again. So, you know, uh,
No, that's awesome. No, that's wild. It's so crazy how much goes on behind the scenes. And that reminds me, I mean, I don't think they got shut down, but that reminds me a lot of Swingers. I don't know if you know the story about like how like they were actually like shot in the casino and at the bars. Like there were actually people there, like customers and whatnot. And there's a scene where I don't know if it's one of the guys. It's one of John, Vince, or Ron is trying to pick up a chick, or there's a patron trying to pick up a chick, and it's one of those three guys. Like, and she was an actress, and like he goes in, and like the guy gets pissed, and that was trying to pick the chick up,
yeah.
and like that was in the movie, and like that was not an actor that was getting pissed off. Like that was an actual patron that like had no idea what was going on.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
it.
That's just what your nightclub story reminds me of.
Vince Vaughn lives around here. I've run into him like 3, 4 times, but I've never actually met him. But yeah, I've
Okay.
run into him many times.
He's probably about as tall as you.
He's taller than me. He's definitely taller than me. I've seen him. He's definitely taller than me. He's 6'6". I'm like 6'2".
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's my. I don't know if you can see my posters. He's
there.
yeah. He's my favorite actor of all time.
One of my favorites. Wedding Crashers is definitely one of my favorites.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, me too.
Really?
Well, not my favorite movie, my favorite comedy.
Okay, it's my favorite comedy and favorite movie.
Yeah. When I was only heartbroken once in my life, and I would just watch Wedding Crashers over and over again. Like,
It's so good, and it never gets old.
Such a good movie. Yeah, I love it. So I'm with you on that one for sure.
But yeah, no, it seems like you guys had a lot of fun despite all that. I mean, it sounds like you were under an immense amount of stress on the set. I mean, that's just so much to deal with. If you're directing, producing, you're one of the leads, and now you got all this shit going on in the background. Like, that sounds fucking crazy to deal with.
I think the hardest part was the lack of sleep. It really was. It was, I was sleeping about 2 hours a night, and I think that really takes it takes its toll on you, and like by the last, so we shot Wally Got Wasted in 22 days. It was like, I can't remember how many, so 22 days, and I can't remember how many locations. I think it was like 30 locations or something in 22 days. It was a lot. And when you're the boss, like I always feel like I should be the last person to leave and the first person to show up. So it's like I'm killing myself, with no sleep, and I'm on camera, which is not cool. So, by the end of the film, I didn't look like day one. Like, I looked like I was killing myself. And the makeup artist was literally like, I can't, like, this is where it kills me, the lack of sleep. They're like, we can't make you look like you did on day one. You're not sleeping enough, and you're not sleeping enough, and you're not drinking enough water. You're killing yourself, and it's showing up. And the crazy part is, too, I could tell, because my ability, I feel like one of my strongest abilities is to convince people to do, stuff, as well as communicate with people. That's how I convince people. I communicate on where I am in life, what my desire is, like, please help me, whatever it is. My communication ability is very important to what I do on the behind the scenes of making a movie. And I felt those skills just dwindling from lack of sleep, for sure.
Oh, I can imagine.
And I was like, I can't put this sentence together in the way that I'm supposed to right now. So, but yeah, there was so many. And if anybody wants to see, we made a behind the scenes documentary about Wally Got Wasted. I didn't make it. David Lee made it, another filmmaker. It's literally Wally Got Wasted behind the scenes on YouTube.
I'll include that in the notes and the pin comment as well. It's a good watch for sure.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. It has a lot of stories as well with all this. I don't want to ruin all the stories because that has a lot of them. But yeah, it gets into everything and shows you the casting process. It shows you a lot of the filming process, and I get into a lot of stories on that too.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, no, I was gonna say it seems like despite all of that, just listening to the performers talk, it seems like everyone had a really good time and like the culture on set was great, which I feel like that's just everything.
Um, it was really good. I think there was negative aspects to it for me as a filmmaker. I think when we were done Wally Got Wasted, I was just so exhausted and I didn't have as much fun as I wanted to have making it.
Yeah.
I was a little lost on it for sure when we were
Mm.
done. I was like, I just made a movie and I don't really think I had that much fun. Like I did have fun when you look back on it, I definitely had fun.
Yeah.
But I was like, what do I do with my life now? Like I always wanted to do this. So it was definitely confusing for a little while for sure. And that's the toughest part about I think about being a filmmaker is all the reward is later.
Yeah.
I mean, I love making films, and I've always loved making them before that. I think only a one or two negative people around you can affect you in a dramatic way. You should
100%.
really surround yourself with positive people that are excited, that really want to go for it for the right reasons, and that can affect you dramatically. And if I have all fun people around me, I have a blast making films.
Yeah.
But it only takes one or two people that are complainers around me to kind of make the whole thing just shitty, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm a people pleaser, honestly. And if
Yeah.
I wasn't a people pleaser, and I try not to be a people pleaser, especially when I'm making films, I got to just do, because there's too many people that depend on me making a good film.
Mhm.
So if I'm trying to appease one person, I'm going to disappoint 30 people. So it's kind of like I'm a little more like cut people off when I'm making my films. It's like, and that's the thing too. You're so busy when you're directing and producing. When someone comes to me with a problem, you have about 60 seconds to explain yourself. If you're long-winded, if
Mhm.
you're getting into why you did it or any of that BS, like I don't want to hear it. What is the problem and
Mhm.
how can we fix it? That's
Mhm.
all that we have time for. You
Yeah.
know, what is the problem and how do we fix it? And the people that get caught up in ego and BS or blame games, your movie's gonna fall apart. It's
Yeah.
just
Totally. Yeah. No, I mean, I can totally relate. I mean, I've made two features. I have one that's released and one that's in post. And the first one, I completely felt the same way when we were done. Like, I was very happy it was done. And I like look back on it and it's like 90% of the people I dealt with during that were actually really pleasant, but 10% were just a nightmare and they ruined everything about it. Like, they ruined everything about the experience. I actually don't think, I mean, you live and you learn. I don't think my first feature's that great, but I mean, it was a learning experience. It was my film school. But I honestly don't think they really affected the quality at all. I think we kind of got all we could get from that movie. But then the second one, I learned just so much about like how to weed people out, like the questions to ask in interviews and like to find the right people to and whatnot. And like I had a blast making the second one, and like the third one, I know I'm going to have even more fun because like I learned even more. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I just connect so much with what you said. Just like even one, two, three negative people. I mean, yeah, there were probably like three negative people on the whole set of the first one, and like they just completely ruined the experience. I was just done. And then the second set, like when we wrapped, like I feel like a lot of us were like fighting back tears because like we had so much fun and like we didn't want to leave, and it was like just such a awesome experience.
100%. Yeah, no, when you're surrounded by people with a common goal and you're having fun and you're doing fun stuff, especially a comedy, it should be a blast.
Yeah.
And the sad part is the people that are being negative, some of them even think they're helping you. You know,
Hmm.
they're complaining or they're being critical. There's a difference between a good idea and just criticizing shit that we can't change.
Hmm.
So I, I don't have enough money for, you know, uh, I don't know, massages on set or something along.
Yeah.
So why are you complaining that you don't have that? Just stuff like that where it's like you're just being negative, and I know you think you're trying to help, but
Yeah.
you're distracting me, and you're also just being negative.
Yeah.
So, and negativity spreads on a set like crazy.
Oh
The
my
moment
god. Yeah.
somebody turns to somebody else and goes, "No, this is a joke, huh? This is stupid." Like that person now is thinking the same thing and they're spreading it to someone else, which
Right.
spreads like crazy. You got to get rid of negativity. And so part of it is when you're going to make a movie, you need to go into it with people that literally have your back, that have the same thing in mind as you, and are positive people, number
Hmm.
one. So, yeah. And about your other film, if you wanted me to get it up, for everybody knowing, I just launched my own platform, BGFTV. And that is, you can download it on Roku on your TV, and it soon will be on other platforms, other Apple TV and others soon. But for right now, if you have a Roku TV, you can literally type in BG FTV and pop up the app, and it's a subscription app, and I can help you get your film on there as well as other filmmakers. Just reach out to me, Adam William Ward, on my Instagram or somewhere, and get a hold of me, and we'll try to get your films on there too if anybody wants it on there. The app was started by Travis Johnson, good friend of mine, and he brought me in, and we started building this. We are building this app for independent filmmakers to make money and to get their films out there and stuff. So and we're paying, we're paying more than a lot of other platforms, if not all the other platforms. So it was
Yeah,
made
I mean, do you mind getting into more details about that? I'm just curious.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So basically, if you bring a film to BGF TV, uh, we give you a link actually. And if you are advertising your film on BGF TV, um, the link will get you 50% of the subscriptions. So if
Oh
you
wow.
bring subscriptions to us, um, then you get 50% of that subscription. And
Hmm.
on top of that, you still get a cut for your film just being on the platform.
Okay.
So if you bring us a film and you don't advertise it all, you're still going to get a cut. We basically um, we give 20% of whatever's left over from all this stuff to filmmakers for their film being on there, and we split it evenly amongst the filmmakers. So whatever we're made that month, hypothetically, $100, we're splitting $10,000. Every film's going to get some of that. But the way that you can make a lot of money is get that link and send people over, because now you're making 50% on that subscription and you're making it monthly.
Hmm.
So if they subscribe a second month, you're getting paid 50% on that subscription
Yeah.
again. So that's a way to really build, and the filmmakers have that opportunity. And we're about to launch out even more so that other people can bring subscribers, even if they don't have a film on there.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's an easy way for people to make money and also promote their film.
Yeah.
So yeah,
How much is a subscription
I believe we have it set at 11.99 right now.
per month?
GF TV, yeah, and no commercials at the moment
Oh wow. Okay.
with the subscription. But I think eventually you can also buy things films on there,
Hmm.
and set different prices for different films and rent films on there. And that we actually decided today it was a 50-50, but now it's actually 70-30. So the filmmaker keeps 70%, because I was like, Amazon Prime's 50-50. I don't want to.
Yeah, it is.
I want to be better. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
made it 70%, 30%. So the filmmaker will keep 70% of the revenue if they bring it to sell. But really, the better deal for them is to bring a subscription
Hmm.
instead of sell your film, because then you have the chance of that person staying and you making even more money.
Right.
As to where if you sell it once, say you sell it for $10, you make seven, we make three. All right. Then if you do a subscription, 11.99, now you made 50% of that, plus you made whatever it is, whatever. And the person that did it, they get to watch all the films.
Hmm.
So they helped you, but they also kind of helped themselves. And if they stick around, you're getting paid monthly. So
Right
yeah,
on.
that's the whole thing. So yeah, if people look at it like you can literally download it right on your TV, BGF TV, and
Hmm.
just you can look around. You can look at all the films, you can look at trailers and all that. You just can't watch the films until you subscribe. So, and we just literally launched that. And I did that because um, so many platforms out there just kind of rip us off, you
Hmm.
know. And Travis is the one who really kind of pioneered this, and then brought me in on it because he really wanted to do it. And then he inspired me to really like, let's kick ass and let's build this thing, you
Hmm.
know. And he was alone living and breathing this, and and really, really pumped about it. He's so excited about it. And I love talking to him all the time because he's so excited about it all the time. And we'll see where it all goes.
Yeah.
We just launched, so we're getting subscribers every day, and I don't know where it goes, but eventually maybe if we're as big as Netflix, we'll be making our own stuff and we'll
Yeah.
be paying for movies up front, perhaps later. But
Cool, cool.
also, if we're because we're just starting, I think the films that come to us get seen easier for now. And
Hmm.
also, you're building a relationship with a platform instead of a distributor or something like that.
Hmm.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, I've been, and one of the reasons he connected with me is because I've been helping people get on Tubi,
Hmm.
and I've been helping people get on Roku and some other platforms because of the connections I have.
Hmm.
So then it was kind of like, how do we, what is the future, and Travis already had that in mind. So,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah, right on.
building it out, BGF TV.
Cool, cool.
So, yeah, what else questions you got?
Oh yeah, so creatively, what's next on the docket for you? I know you said potentially season 2 of Bad Advice. Do you have any comedy features potentially? Anything in that vein?
Believe it or not, I'm kind of backing off of comedy for the moment. I'm making a
Oh,
drama action film basically
okay.
next, and I filmed the first 10 minutes of it, and we're gonna shut. We filmed the first 10 minutes and we shut down. I'm gonna do post on the whole first 10 minutes. So I just met with the composer the other day, Erica, and she's fantastic, and then I basically I'm gonna do all the post stuff and polish the whole thing, and
Hmm.
then from there go out to investor people we know and also whoever wants to get involved in investing in movies, uh, you know raise the rest of the money to make the film basically.
Right on. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Do you know like what kind of budget you're looking for?
Just depends. If we get names attached, I think it should go up to like 1 million or
Hmm.
2 million or anything below 5 million. But without names, it is what it is. It just kind of depends on what kind of package we want to build.
Hmm.
And that's the crazy part about all this independent filmmaking. And I think, we were talking earlier about a little bit about the future of the industry. I think independent film is going to be a huge, huge part of it. I really do. I think
Yeah.
that's going to fill this gap. Terrifier 3 was an independent film this year. It was number one in the box office.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hate that movie, hate that movie. Still, an independent film with no big distributor being the number one movie at the box office is something that has never been done.
It's giving me
Now,
goosebumps.
it's never been done
Yeah.
before. Paranormal Activity was number one at the box office, but it had a big distributor.
Right.
It had Paramount Pictures.
Yeah.
So this has never been done before. Where has this gone, and who are going to be the people that build that tunnel to get movies from beginning to the theater and their independent route? And I'm
Yeah.
hoping that the streaming platform kind of opens that gate for us with independent filmmakers and maybe eventually even into theaters and all that kind of stuff. Just learning as much as I can, teaming up with the best people possible to
Yeah.
learn and to make those connections. So,
Yeah, definitely. No, I go to the theater all the time,
me too.
like once or twice a week.
Me too.
And okay, awesome. No, I love it. I'm huge on the theatrical experience. I love we talked about him already, but Todd Phillips, I love how he says fuck you to the streaming, like we got to put this in the theater. I mean, there's so many people like that. I know I believe well, now I don't want to accidentally drop the wrong name, but I believe there was someone attached. I believe there was a big name from the fuck. What's that? What's the mystery
Netflix.
called? Sorry,
Uh, I don't know. Are you saying
Jamie
that?
Lee Curtis is in it. Daniel
Oh,
Craig.
movie.
Hmm?
You're talking about a movie.
Yes.
Everything all at
Knives
once.
Out. Knives Out.
Yeah.
Someone attached to that. I don't want to give the wrong name, so I'll just say if someone attached to that said like they came after Netflix hard for not giving it a theatrical release. And I know, rest in peace, David Lynch. He's huge on going to theaters and whatnot. And I'm a huge proponent of that as well. And I've noticed over the years that the independent films, they're starting to come out more and more. Like I know you mentioned Terrifier, but it feels like every week there's like 2 new independent films. And I do not remember this happening like 7 years ago when I started going.
Oh, I can't wait. I really hope I can get the connections with AMC or Regal or some of these theaters to start a pipeline more for independent films for sure.
Yeah.
Because I think I think a lot more people would put money into independent films too if they knew they could get a theatrical release
Yeah.
and that stuff as well. But I also feel like this is a communal experience when you go to the theater, when you hear people laugh together, when you hear people shock together.
Yeah.
And this world that we're living in gets people more and more disconnected by sitting at home on their social media apps, and they say social, but there's nothing social about it.
Yeah.
You get more and more alone, and you're losing touch of what other people feel and think. And being out, the theater is definitely an experience. It's been around 100 years,
Hmm.
where people gathered and they experienced a common story and you could feel where other people, you can feel the audience when you're in it, where
Yeah.
they laugh, where they gasp, where they are.
Yes.
That's part of the experience. And so I'm a huge theater person. I love live theater, but I also love the
Yeah,
movies.
me too. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, totally. I mean, even just like going to the movie Presents, did you see that by chance?
Presence,
It
presence.
just came out.
Who's in
It's
it?
marketed as a horror movie, but it's honestly a drama, but it's the one that's told from the point of view of the ghost.
No, I've not seen it.
Oh, okay. Well, absolutely loved it. By far my favorite movie of the year. Would have been my one of my favorites if it was released in 2024. And I saw it twice. I saw it twice. I liked it so much. I saw it on Saturday, and then I saw it again yesterday on Sunday. And just it was because you go in with a different state of mind when you already seen and you know everything that happens. And it was so cool just being around other people and just observing them because it's like I know what's going to happen here. And like just seeing out of the corner of your eye, like seeing how people react, like that's just such a cool human communal experience.
100%. I completely agree. I completely agree. And that's why I think popcorn movies have like a place.
Mm.
I just watched Flight Risk. That's what I just watched. I think it's
Okay,
called.
I did not see that one. I know what it is, but yeah,
Not last night, but the night before.
yeah,
And it's a popcorn movie. I mean, there's
yeah,
nothing about it that's so extraordinary,
yeah,
but it's fun. It's entertaining. It
yeah,
was entertaining. That's the number one thing when I go to the theater. I want to be entertained.
yeah,
you know so like I watched The Brutalist. I watched so many movies, you know what I mean.
mhm,
And it's like the number one rule for me is that I'm being entertained. I'm not
yeah,
bored. If I think about other things, you've lost me. And one of the problems with a lot of movies nowadays is they're too long. I don't know what's up with the new filmmakers.
yeah.
Like, they don't
Brutalist is
want to
over
cut
3 hours.
anything.
Yeah,
They don't want to cut anything.
yeah,
Brutalist was 3 hours 40 minutes, but
yeah,
it's not the only movie. There's a lot of long movies, and I'm like, this movie would be better if an hour was cut out of it, or 2 hours, or whatever the movie is. I'm not speaking of that one particularly,
right,
but
right, right.
a lot of them are too long. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, Red One, I think, was like 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's a total
God,
popcorn
I
movie.
hated that movie.
But why is it 2 hours and 20 minutes?
I don't know why that movie got made.
Well, my whole point though, is all this though, is like that's what studios used to do. They used to
Yeah.
make filmmakers cut their movies down, and they were better for it. A lot
Huh.
of them. Now, hey, and then you release the director's cut or whatever it is.
Right.
But I think we went the opposite direction where we don't cut anything, and it's like, guys, I don't want to sit here for 4 hours watching a movie. Like, hour and a half, 2 hours, get it in, get it out. Unless you're making a biopic pick. There's, like Forrest Gump was perfect.
Right.
Part was perfect. But
Yeah.
a lot of
Oppenheimer, honestly, I was pleased with it being 3 hours. I thought that was merited.
certain movies are warranted to be a certain length, and other ones I'm like, could it have been better if you cut it down? That's all that
Mhm.
I think. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's me as a movie watcher, not a
Yeah.
filmmaker. I'm not thinking about the filmmaker and their experience and all that, but I've definitely cut my movie down. The original cut of Wally Got Wasted was over 2 hours, and I
Yeah.
cut it down to an hour 40. I cut like 20 minutes to 30 minutes out of it.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I remember I called the editor because I didn't edit that one by myself. I had a main editor, and I edited probably the second half of the film with him in the room. He was working on a diamond editing project or something,
Mhm.
but I was editing. But literally, I remember calling him and telling him, we need to cut 20 minutes out of the film. And I remember him going, where are we going to cut 20 minutes out of the film? And literally, it was just going through, going, do we need that line? Is it funny?
Yeah.
If it's not funny and it's not adding to the story, cut it.
Hmm.
Is this little bit part adding, or and cut it,
Yeah.
cut it, cut it, cut it. I would literally went in and we cut 20 minutes out of the film in one day,
Yeah.
and that's me being a producer. That's not really me being a director. That's me
Right.
being a producer, and it's being a director too. But it's literally like there's so many stages in making a film where you got to try to step back because you get really close to it and you can't see it objectively. And you got
Mhm.
to step back and try to look at it from a viewer's point of view because that's why you started making movies in the first place. A lot of people, because they were a viewer first.
Right.
So you step back and look at that. Like, it's the same thing with Wally Got Wasted. I don't think I'll ever see it the way that you saw it. And
Right.
I can never do that. I don't
Yeah.
know how good Wally Got Wasted, good or bad, that
Mhm.
Wally Got Wasted is because I made the movie. I edited most of the movie. I was there for every step of the way.
100%. Yeah.
For you to say that you love the movie makes me feel great. It's a good thing. That's why I made it. But and that's the crazy part is what's in my head on the page, and I have the visual of the movie. I try to attempt to make that. It doesn't always turn out that way. Sometimes
Yes.
it's better, sometimes it's worse. Filmmakers do the best they can. So it's like,
Yeah.
and I think that's why I don't like to criticize. I love to criticize film, but I would never criticize film on a public platform because I just know how hard it is to make a film. And I know that
Yes.
just because something's bad doesn't mean they intended it for it to come out that way.
Yes. I very much have okay, I have a very similar point of view. I know I just said something about Red One, so it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I guess the biggest thing is that I mean, just being honest, like that movie was obviously made purely for profit. It wasn't a passion project. Like,
I doubt it was anyone's passion project. It was a
yes,
popcorn
I don't
movie.
think no one was pouring their heart into that. And I have a lot less trouble saying something about a movie that I think was just like a money grab compared
Yeah.
to a movie that like there are movies that I watched that I didn't enjoy that I know someone that poured their heart and soul into it, and I would feel terrible to say anything about it publicly. I would feel terrible to even say anything in private to someone, to be completely honest, because it is like just like you said, it's very hard work, and it's you really put everything you have into it, and like it sucks to just get shit on. It's funny because I know I've mentioned him so many times already, but I heard Todd Phillips say that when someone tells him they didn't like one of his movies, like it hurts his feelings.
It would. I'm sure it
Yeah.
would. It would hurt anybody's feelings. I think I think we live in a world, sadly, with so many people commenting on things on social media that
Yeah.
they would never really do in real life. So, I mean, I've had people smash While He Got Wasted,
Mhm.
and then I have people that say it's their favorite movie they've ever seen. So, where do I take? What do I take from that? Do I take that I should make a film because one guy hated it, or
Mhm.
the person that's it's their favorite movie? I should make a million movies. It's like everyone's doing the best they can to make art
Yeah.
and call it art for
Definitely.
whatever reasons they're trying to make it, to make people laugh, to make people cry, to make people feel not alone.
Mhm.
you know uh, and so to be so harsh on people, it doesn't make sense to me as an individual. Now me and you go watch a movie together, and after we leave the movie, I'm going to say everything I think was wrong with the movie to you,
Yeah.
and I'm going to say how I think it can make it better. That's why I'm a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I have a strong opinion on what's right and what's wrong with films.
Mhm.
Um, but writing it into it's just not for me. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, I could never do film criticism. No.
yeah,
Yeah.
reviewing films helps films. So
Yeah.
by all means, go write a review of While He Got Wasted. You can only help me. You can't really hurt me.
Mhm.
Um, but we got smashed. The crazy part is the film got smashed on IMDb.
I was shocked. Yeah. I was honestly shocked to see that.
Well, the reason it is, so the mean of the movie, the average of the movie is a 6.7, believe it or not, on
Okay.
IMDb. That's the average. But somehow all my tens got erased because they
Mm.
thought that the tens were some kind of like we were doing something illegal or something.
Mm-hmm.
When the truth is, there's just a lot of people that support me that when I'm like, hey, go rate the movie on IMDb, they give me a 10. Whether they like it or not, they're going to probably give me a 10, but I didn't
Yeah.
ask them to give me a 10.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But because people care about me, they're going to give me a 10. So we probably had like 100 tens before we had anything else. And so
Yeah.
they erased all the tens. And the sad part is, so now I have the haters, which all kind of came at once.
Mhm.
And then I have all my tens gone. And then I don't know, that rating has not moved from a 4.2 or something in like
Mhm.
years. And I don't get it because my average is so high. My ratings are so high comparatively. you know. So I don't fully get it. But, you know, the Amazon ratings were 5 stars on Amazon, and there's 300 ratings on there.
Hmm.
Rotten Tomatoes, I think, were like 100%. Obviously, don't smash my movie if you don't like it. Uh, be honest of whatever you think, but we're rated on everything if people watch it, and please check it out. You know, Wally
Yeah.
Got Wasted is the same. It's on Tubi, it's same as Bad Advice. It's on Tubi for free, but Wally Got Wasted is on a lot of platforms. It's on a lot more platforms than Bad Advice right now.
Hmm.
It's on Plex, it's on a lot, but I would suggest people to go to Tubi for now, or you can always buy the movie on Prime on
Hmm.
Amazon. But yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And then, yeah, you've touched on this a bit throughout, but just overall, what gives you optimism for the future of the movie industry?
Like I said, I think the optimism comes with independent film. I really
Hmm.
do, and that's one of the reasons we have BGFTV is because independent films need a place to go, and they
Hmm.
need to make money and to have people to care about independent filmmakers and care about people that are just starting out. And that's one of the reasons we started it. And I really hope that that grows into something really big because I don't think people are finding the next filmmakers out there. I don't think the
Hmm.
studios are doing it, and they should have been doing it already,
Right.
where they are not taking new voices on. You know, they're
Hmm.
literally meeting their quotas for whatever it is, but they're not finding the next filmmakers
Hmm.
doing the cutting edge stuff. You
Right.
know, they're just not that I'm seeing. So hopefully, you know, through BGFTV we can start doing that and help filmmakers, you know, make a profit and get their stuff seen and they can help us by advertising their
Hmm.
films on there and getting people to go subscribe to the platform. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then your top five comedy movies of all time?
oh, the top 5 comedy movies of all time. My goodness, Wedding Crashers is there. Wedding Crashers is definitely there. Let's see. Hangover. I was there for its inception.
Yeah.
No, Hangover is definitely probably there. Oh, and then Weekend at Bernie's. That
Okay.
definitely was a kick. That's a kickback to Wally Got Wasted. That's
Yeah.
that's one of the movies that definitely inspired us to make it.
Yeah.
You know, when we first made Wally Got Wasted, my writing partner Seth wrote a different script, believe it or not, and he gave it to me, had me read it, and asked for notes.
Hmm.
And I was honest, brutally honest, and broke his heart at first because I was like, I don't really like it.
Hmm.
But I love the beginning. I love the first 30 pages.
Hmm.
So we took the first 30 pages and then I said, I thought it was going to go in this direction. I thought it was going to be like a Hangover meets Weekend at Bernie's and the
Hmm.
rest of the movie was going to go like this. It went a totally opposite direction. But he was heartbroken. He didn't really talk about it. And then 8, 9 months later, he came back. He's like, hey, I wrote what you talked about. And I was like, well, no, no, not completely. He said, "Well, how would you write it?" And we spent one night, and I broke down every scene of the
Hmm.
movie, where it should go, and what it
Yeah.
should do. We did it together, but and then nothing came of it. And then like 8 or 9 months later, he came back. And was like, "Hey, I wrote the first draft," and I was like, "Oh shit, okay, we're doing this."
Yeah.
And I actually was going to make Attachment Theory, which is my new movie that I've been working on right now. The
Hmm.
action drama was supposed to be my first movie
Oh, okay.
and I've been sitting on the script. It's amazing because so many people in the industry have read the script and absolutely love it.
Hmm.
So I know the script's strong, but Seth kind of pushed while he got wasted, and I got on that train eventually, and then that became my first movie
Yeah.
instead of Attachment Theory, the one I got going on now,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
which is wild. Which the name might change, but that's what it is for now.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So those are 3 movies. Weekend at Bernie's was that one, and then Where Are the Millers? I would say.
That's a good one. That was one of the last, like when, that golden era. That was one of
Yeah.
the last ones.
I think that's like 2013,
Yeah.
2014. And you know, believe it or not, my sister, Zizi Ward, has her song in that movie. Her
Oh,
song.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So
That's awesome.
I've been directing Zizi's music. My sister is Zizi Ward. She's a singing musician and stuff. And I directed all her music videos now for the last couple years.
Uh-huh.
I think I've done like 10 of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, she has a song in there when the when the big trailer kind of pulls up to the airport,
Hmm.
they start playing her song called "Put the Gun Down," So yeah, she's got her stuff in a lot of big movies, but yeah, she's
It's
my
awesome.
sister, and that's another reason why the movie's cool too, because I got family
Yeah.
involved in it, so that's really cool. So that would be fourth, and then hmm, I mean, I guess Dumb and Dumber would have to be there.
Okay.
If I had to, like, you can't not put Dumb and Dumber in that group. You know what I mean?
I
So
would put Euro Trip.
Euro Trip, oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's others. I mean, you think about Super Bad, we should be there.
Yes.
Me, Myself, and Irene's hilarious. Heartbreak Kid, I worked
Oh, I
on.
love that one. That one got such bad reviews, but I love that one.
A lot of people love Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah.
I worked on Heartbreak Kid. I didn't work on Heartbreak Kid. I worked at DreamWorks when Heartbreak Kid was
Uh-huh.
going on in post production, and so I used to deliver the dailies for Heartbreak Kid when it was called Untitled Farley Brothers Movie.
That's funny.
And the Farley brothers they were so good back in the day. Like they added so much to so many people's lives when it comes
Yeah.
to laughter, I'd say American Pie would be there
Oh
somewhere,
yeah.
40-Year-Old Virgin,
Yeah.
um, and Tropic Thunder, which is,
Oh,
I
that's a good one. Yeah.
probably one of, it's 2010 or 2009. Maybe it's even sooner. I think it's actually, somebody said it was '07. Maybe it's '07 Tropic Thunder. But, when I saw that for the first time, it only had temp music in it.
Oh
And
yeah.
I went to this movie theater on Paramount's lot, and Ben Stiller was shaking my hand going into the theater.
Oh,
Like, thank you
awesome.
so much for coming. I hope you love the movie. Like, it was a private
Yeah.
screening before they had finished the movie, and it
Yeah.
was all temp music. So it was a pretty wild screening for sure.
Yeah. I
You
can
know,
imagine.
it was pretty wild screening, and meeting Ben Stiller right before I went into the theater was pretty wild. It's the same thing with Bull Rat. Actually, I went to a private screening of Bull Rat, and Sacha Baron Cohen was outside of the theater, like basically like, "Thank you so much for coming to everybody that was there," and he was staring at me. I could tell because I'm kind of tall and he's
Yeah.
kind of tall, and I was really young at the time. I think I was like 23, and I remember him looking at me, and you could tell he was like, "Who the hell's this guy?" You know what I mean? I could tell by his look,
Yeah.
and I was looking at him, kind of thinking, "Who the heck is this guy?" And I had no idea what Bull Rat was until I saw the movie. I was like, "I know exactly who this fucking guy
Yeah.
is." Like, he's the star of the night for sure,
Yeah.
and this movie's going to be huge because no one had seen the movie at that point, and
Uh,
it was outrageous. But I knew that it was going to be huge,
yeah.
and it was. So
Yeah.
it was pretty wild. And yeah, I mean, I named a lot more than five, but you got a lot there.
No, that's a great list for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no,
So
thank you very much for coming on. And your Instagram, what's the handle? I'll plug that as well in the show notes.
Adam William Ward.
Is that the best place for people to get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can totally reach out to me on Instagram with Adam William Ward. And I think that's probably easiest to get
Okay.
to from there. I try to even look at the messages that I don't see. If for some reason I don't see it, leave a comment on a picture or something. I'm sure I'll see that. If for
Mhm.
some reason it's not coming through, because sometimes they'll put you in the spam
Yeah.
automatically on Instagram. You know what I mean? But if you're a filmmaker and you're trying to get your film on something, uh, I can help shorts too at this point. With BGF, we have a shorts category.
Mhm. Okay.
So there's that as well. So filmmakers can easily reach out to me and try to get help and stuff. So and then just to finish up, we did talk about Wally Got Wasted. Bad Advice is 7 episodes.
Mhm.
Each episode's about 30, 40 minutes long.
Mhm.
And that actually has been kind of taken off lately on Tubi. I've seen the viewership go up a lot this last week, so hopefully it continues to rise. But if you like Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld, hopefully you dig it. And please leave a review, leave on IMDb, um, Amazon Prime, leave a review, like comment, let me know what you think somehow, and I definitely read all that stuff. So thank you,
Awesome.
anybody who's watching it.
Yeah, yeah, I would definitely recommend to the audience as well to check out both Wally Got Wasted and Bad Advice. I mean, this channel very much is centered around the 2000 style comedy. I mean, I think that that's pretty much everyone that's subscribed to this channel thus far is definitely fans of those kinds of flicks. And I would say both of them very much, you will get heavy vibes from the movies and television shows from that era that you loved.
Yeah, and I have other stuff on Tubi, but according to comedy, I have a TV pilot on there called Parole Officers, which you actually might like. It's very much anger management in a way. It's about a guy who accidentally gets arrested for drugs, even though he didn't do any drugs, and he gets some crazy ass parole officer that wants to take over his life and like tell him what to do. And it's it's out there, but it's
Yeah.
fun. So it's very much a kickback to 2000s comedies. You might like that, Parole Officer.
Awesome. Yeah, no, sounds like a
That's free
great
on
time.
TV as well. So
Cool,
yeah.
cool.
But if any audience member, first thing, watch Wally Got Wasted or Bad Advice. That's my number one.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah, thanks so much for the interview, and thank you everyone else for watching. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.